Paxton. I'm editor of the Paducah Sun. Thanks for stopping by. We'd like to try to show you how we get a newspaper out. This is my office. It hasn't changed much in a long time, even since these older fellows on the wall behind me were in this office. My father hasn't changed much since my grandfather was here, starting about 80 years ago, around the turn of the century. There is one big change. It's this little electronic beauty here. My father or grandfather, neither one would have recognized this. My father didn't even like electric typewriters. It's called a VDT, video display tube, CRT, cathode ray tube. Many names for it. Some names we make up when it glitches on us or eats a story we can't get back that we've worked a long time on. Or if it just refuses to continue speaking the language that we have been taught to speak to it. It goes into unknown tongues sometimes, but on the whole it's pretty nice. In a sense, this has become the heart of the newsroom, the heart of newspaper. It's a big change. Not all newspaper men, especially old-time newspaper men and women, like it, but on the whole it's pretty smart, pretty quick. It'll do a lot of things. If you want to write into it, do this. If you want to know what's going on around the world, let's see, let's type world in this little space and call up. Okay, we got a directory. Associated Press stores, Cuba, Soviet Union, Irish, China. Let's see what's going on in China. Request edit, you get the story up on your screen. Agriculture secretaries gone to China to promote grain sales. Well, that's fairly interesting. Let's see what's going on in the nation. Type nation in. We've got all these stories around drug, weather, Boeing, elderly, Navy story, bodies, another weather story, police. Here's one, Nixon. Let's call up this story. See what Mr. Nixon's up to. Well, it's not actually him, it's his niece. Says Richard Nixon's niece is thinking about running for Congress and says she's not worried about being tainted by her uncle's downfall in Watergate. That's more interesting. Fact is that all our information more or less starts and stops with this electronic machine. Newspapering is thought of not as an electronic medium, but in a sense it is, even though it's print when it comes out. It's the way it used to be. All the stories we get from around the country, and around the world, our editors see in this machine for the first time. The information that we originate at the newspaper, we put in through this machine. Reporters sit down and type it into it. Machinery takes over and does something magic, and it comes out the other end. In a sense, though, that has to do with style, production, logistics. And to my mind, the true heart of newspapering is still the substance. What do you put in the newspaper? In this medium, at least, I hope the message is still the message. It's not the medium. Speaking to that point, our day, I guess, more or less starts in this office also with our morning editorial meeting. 7:30, we gather, myself, 4 or 5 editors in here. The wire service editors will have gone through their tubes, see what stories are available from across the country or around the world, and also what pictures, photographs, which we get in on an electronic magic machine on some kind of silver-coated paper that I don't understand, pictures from around the world. The local editors come in. They will have assigned reporters to stories, photographers to photographs, hopefully. I think local news and pictures are the heart of a local newspaper, and that's what we really try to concentrate on. We'll invite reporters into the editorial meeting, tell us how their story's coming along or maybe not coming along. Get their ideas, we'll give them ours. Then we run them out, and the editors hash it over pretty good. We decide what we think is our best stuff and how to play it. With page 1, page 2, which is kind of a soft news, human interest feature page. Some of the stuff we decided to throw out Maybe we'll hold on to a local story because the reporter hasn't been able to get in touch with somebody. The other side, maybe. We think we have to state both sides and try to be fair on that. So we'll hold up the story on that point, or maybe we don't think he's been complete enough, that the reporter's talked to enough people, gotten the information. Maybe we need to check further with sources. If it's a touchy subject, something that could have legal ramifications or possibly be unfair to someone, we want to make sure it's as accurate as we can make it. After we hash it over, we come up with a rough plan. We know pretty well what we're going to do. I say rough plan. Some days at deadline, which is noon, we're still exactly precisely with that plan we came up with at 7:30 or 8 in the morning. Most days, the more usual thing is for you to, you never know what's going to happen in the news business, so we try to stay flexible right up to deadline. We're willing to make changes as late as we have to and still get the paper out reasonably on time. So when we have that plan, the editors go back to their little machines through the rest of the newsroom, and if you'll come with me, I'll show you that, and we'll try to see what happens in the next step of this fairly intricate process. This is Carl Harrison, managing editor. He rules over the newsroom. Carl, what goes on out here?
A lot, and most of the time it's pretty hectic. We have charge out here of the overall news operation of the Sun, which is inclusive of local news, national news, state news, the living or family sections, and the sports section. We have local news reporters, local editors, and then we have editors who perform duties only pertaining to national news affairs that come across our wires.
It seems awful quiet out here. It's moving up on 11:30 deadline time, about 40 minutes from deadline time, and I'd always heard that there was a lot of noise and clattering and kind of thing. What's going on? It's too quiet out here.
Well, that was pre-technology, the time you refer to. VDTs have chased out most of the noise of the newsroom. Most of the noise now is grunts and groans of people who are frustrated by the machinery on occasion. This particular day, we are on pins and needles because we're afraid our computer system and our video display terminals are not going to be with us down the stretch. We try to be a regional newspaper. Sometimes the people in Paducah, the city of Paducah, don't understand that, and sometimes the people in our region feel that we're too much a Paducah newspaper, that we pay too much attention to the city. We try to mix that, we try to balance it, because we do have a great number of readers within and without the city. We think that local people, local names, and local events are still of prime interest to local people. And because of that, we put special emphasis on features, lighter news, and sometimes even good news. Believe it or not, we like to put that on the front page. We like to put good news stories about good people.
This is Bill Bartleman, one of our most hard-bitten and persistent reporters. He's been in the newspaper business for some years, and he recently even wrote a column about the new machinery in the newsroom. Bill?
Well, it's nothing but a big it. I think I'd rather, in one way, I'd rather go back to the old days where we have some excitement in the newsroom, but you know, you can hear now that there's very little noise here. You know, the old, you know, it's kind of a, gets your blood when you see an old, it gets your blood flowing when you see an old movie on TV that they have the old ticker tapes and the people running around with copy in their hands and yelling for copy boy and really pushing for a deadline. But in here, we might as well work in an insurance office or a bank. Things are so quiet.
Some people would say that'd be a good thing.
Well, not if you know, I haven't been in this business all that many years, only 10 years, and I know a big difference in just that short a period of time. I wouldn't, if I'd been in the business 20 or 30 years, I'd probably be pulling my hair out. It'd just be hard to accept the way things have changed.
This is Steve Wingfield. He was recently demoted from reporter to editor. He'd been pushing a long time for a kind of entertainment magazine or something. I'm still not sure exactly what it is, but we just said, okay, you're in charge of it, do it. We had, this is it, one of the issues, Sun Glow, a title we had some contention over, and well, That's the title. Steve, what is exactly that you're the editor of?
It's a leisure-oriented supplement to the newspaper. We include TV and just about anything else that people do when they're not working. I want it to be a little looser, maybe would be the term, than what we usually have in the newspaper. A little more fun-loving, not as gray, let's put it that way. A little less sober, maybe.
Gee, I didn't know we were that bad. This is Bill Thompson. He's the foreman of the composing room. And the way we compose has changed a little bit, I believe. How long you been here, Bill?
About 37 years, Jack.
Anything changed in here since then?
Well, from start to finish, all of it's changed. It's gone from the old hot metal era down through various tape operations and now to an extremely fast computer operation.
The way it used to be. I remember coming in here as a kid and it was noisy, dirty, hot metal, and ink all over the place. What's this?
This is a hot metal page. Every line was set individually and every character had to be dropped individually. It came out upside down and backwards. It took new people, new apprentices. They thought they'd never be able to learn to read type, always upside down and backwards. But it was a real interesting phase of the typesetting. The history of it went back through this era, and it took, much longer. It would take a good operator about an hour to produce one good clean column of type. And now, of course, we can get out columns of type in a matter of seconds off the computer. We take it out, develop it, process it, cut it out, and then we make up. We still refer to it as makeup, but it's now the new rule is paste up. We just paste it up instead of make it up.
Essentially what you've got here is all been spit out by electronic machinery, one way or another, hasn't it?
Jack, that comes out, the news face, straight matter we call it, comes out about 650 lines a minute.
As you can probably see, we have now left that clean composing room. There is one part of the newspaper left. It's ink all over the place and got big noisy machinery, and the man that is in charge of that part of it down here is Charlie Hicks. He's a press room foreman. He's been here about 30 years. Charlie, has this changed any?
Oh, quite a bit, Jack. From the day of the old hot metal down to this, now it's chemicals and cameras.
You have to get these 800-pound rolls of paper on here. You got to get the ink mixed right, and you got to keep a big piece of machinery running right. What do you have to look out for then?
Well, just all little odds and ends and try to chink up the cracks. And from time past, you just got to kind of use a broad mind, figure out day to day what you're going to have to do to meet tomorrow.
What about all that ink people talk about, including me and my wife talking about rubbing off on your hands and the table?
Well, Jack, I tell you what, it's a touchy subject, but we haven't run up on anybody that knows really what to do. Because you take carbon black and oil, a little wax and a little varnish. We all know that oil don't dry very fast.
Looks like he's about got that last page in down there. We ready to go?
We're ready to go. Let her go, Don.
How's it make you feel when you know you got the last day going there and she's starting up again? Is that...
Makes you feel real well. When everything's running good, when you run your daily paper off and you hear them shut down the press, you say, well, I got a little grace.
about it. That's how we do it. Must say I'm a little bit amazed, more or less on a daily basis, that we usually do pretty much what we're trying to do, pretty much on time, by deadline. Amazes all of us sometimes. Haven't mentioned one part of the paper, advertising people. I guess partly because they are not part of the editorial process that starts and finishes with getting the paper out that I'm involved in, but the fact is that without the advertisers and without the advertising people who put the ads together, classified and displayed, there'd be no Paducah Sun. The subscription price you pay, the 20-cent newsstand price, actually pays very little the total cost of getting a newspaper out. So, I want to thank you for coming by. I hope you understood a little of it and enjoyed more than that. I'm going to see how the paper came out.